All right. So this next thing, we looked at this photo blog, and then I was kind of like I said, I wasn't happy with this code, so thought we'd just all sort of look at it together and see what kind of a solution we could come up with. And in progress, where do I have my photo blog up here? Cookies, passing data, sessions, it's in here, and then photo blog. And so I think this is the one I had in the presentation right here. So let's just look at this code, walk through it, and then see how we can make it better. I've got an error variable, pointer to templates, create a new session using Gorilla, and then create a struct which holds just a slice of strings for pictures. So I'm going to create URLs for pictures. So one of my thoughts when I'm looking at this is why do I need a struct for just one field, right? That's one thought I had. If anybody has any perspective on that. And then, I'm going to create an instance. Instance isn't the right word to use when talking about Go, generally speaking. But I'm going to create a new variable of type model and then store some values in it, right? So I'm storing in that get picture pass. So if we look at get picture pass, here I create another slice of strings, and that is empty, right? There's nothing in there. And so what would be the word that you use to talk about that? Would that be, that wouldn't be zero value, or would that be nil? And what's the difference between zero value and nil? Anybody know? Just curious. Because that's a question I have. So here I'm kind of revealing my questions as I'm looking at the code. Where is it I need to understand more? So, one way I know for sure I would get a zero value is if I said var file and it is a slice of string, right? That is going to give me a zero value, right, for file.
Which for slices is nil.
Is nil,
because
right?
a slice is a pointer to
an underlying array.
An underlying array.
Yeah. But is that giving me, so that's the same thing.
This particular method of writing it is giving you that empty curly braces.
Yeah.
So that's actually creating an underlying array there with the pointer pointing to it. So it's an empty slice, but it's actually got a pointer to a place.
And this one doesn't have a pointer yet?
No, that one would just be the actual value nil.
Okay, so it's not no array's been created yet.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And this one, the array got created and there's no values there. That makes sense. And so that's just an empty slice.
Yes.
Empty slice. So then, walk it and then add all of our file paths in, and then where is it that I create the model? Return a model. I create it right here, right? Where pictures, and I put in that slice of strings because the model is, and I return the model, and the model is, pictures with a slice of strings. So I'm putting here pictures with a slice of strings. And so I get that up here at the top, right here, and I set that to a variable data. And then another question I had is okay, do these need to be exported types, right? Because here we have the capital D. Would have worked when it's lowercase d. Do I need to make that exported because I'm passing that in to my template? And it's now being used somewhere else. Does that, I haven't tested that, but what are your thoughts on that? Daniel? Or anybody? Shin? Eunice? That's another question, right? Hey, does that need to be an export type? Because I'm using it in my template.
Yeah.
You can use a lowercase.
I think you could.
For data,
right?
you can use lowercase, yes.
For data, you can use lowercase. So
because if it's capitalized, it's so that other packages can kind of reach into your package, but they're not reaching into the package. You're getting it to them, so you can have it lowercase.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So lowercase, the exporting and visible, not visible, capitalized, not capitalized, that's only for package at level access. But when I pass something as data to a template, where else would I pass something as data? Only to templates, right?
In this case, I think so. So and then the other thing is that model itself can be lowercase too.
Up here, the type.
Yes, but pictures, however, does need to be capitalized because that is something that the other package is trying to discover in order to be able to do stuff.
Which other package?
The templates package.
When you do dot pictures.
So when you're passing it over to you're passing the data over into the template package, and the template package knows its type because it's a variable of this type, but then it doesn't know what's in that type.
Oh, because this is what actually
unless
goes
it's
to
capitalized.
templates.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what goes to templates.
So pictures has to be capitalized so it can see that because it's not something that's being passed directly to it.
Huh. Then I parse all the templates, and I have all my routes and listen and serve, and then execute the template, pass in the data right there, right? And then you could log in, and so if you put in the password secret, it turns session.values logged in to true, right? And session.values is the cookie, and so the cookie's coming from Gorilla Sessions, and so that all is cool. And then I need that return here. I think we talked about that. There's a couple places I need a return like that. Correct?
Okay. Yes.
Otherwise, I run all the code. It's like, hey, I'm done. Get out of this function. At this point, right there, I'm done. That one doesn't need one. And then
like right here, this redirect to.
That one needs one right there because I'm done with this function. And then so here's log out, where it just kind of gets rid of the cookie. And so that's the code on that one. And then uploading, right? And so if you're logged in, or if that is nil, right? So we don't even have a logged in value yet. So when we try to look for that, hey, there's nothing there. Then we go back to the login page. But if the request method is post, and so here it's like you're not logged in, so you can't upload yet. So you got to go back to log in. And then, okay, you are logged in, the method is post, so we're going to do, basically request form file, and the template's set up to allow you to upload a file, and defer, close that, and then create a new file at this path. I found a new way to do that, which is cool, and I'll show you that in a second. And then return, and defer, close, and then we need one right here too, right? Copy that and redirect, and okay, we don't need to execute this one again. So that's uploading a file, and then getting pictures. We already saw that. So that all works fine. Do you want to see it? You guys have seen it? Anybody want to see it? I don't know. Maybe it's helpful to see it. No. Yes, you want to see it? All right. So we're in 49.12.01. 49.12.01. And we're serving on TLS 8080, so that's HTTPS localhost 8080. Cool, right? And upload, only the one logged in. I need to log in. This could be anything. This is secret. Submit, and now I could upload. Lets me upload, so choose a file, and I'll choose 9. I don't know what that is. And that didn't refresh, so that's something that I need to, like if I was to now reload the application, it would work. But if we look at that, like after my upload, I have what happens after upload is, right, so here, check if you're logged in, and then get the file, and then create a new path, and then store that file onto the server, and then redirect to the root. Right, but what I need to do is before I redirect to the root is I need to rebuild my data, and basically. Right, oh, that's what I did right there. So what file did I upload? Maybe it did work. Let's find an image that we know.
Yeah, it was probably a file that was a picture that was already there or something.
What do you guys want to look for?
Cats.
Milkshake. Cat. We'll go with my thought and your thought at the same time. There we go.
Close enough.
11, fine, downloads. All right, let's try that again. Upload, choose file, downloads, 11, open. Yeah, milkshake cat. Who knew that there's an image out there that would actually come up when you search for that?
Yeah.
Oh, milkshake cat. Okay, so it's totally working.
Yeah.
All right, nice. That's crazy, dude. What is that cat doing in that glass?
Not even one.
That's totally funny. All right. So then, I thought, well, I want to be able to display, instead of just having log in, log out at the top right here, right? I want that to be, hey, if you're logged in, you see log out. If you're not logged in, you see log in, right? But I just put them both up there. So how do I transfer data in, right? Where I have, information about the user and whether or not they're logged in or logged out. And so that was like my next question. And in process right here, which is not that one, right there, right? I don't know which one I have this in. We'll just open this one up and see. But that's not it. So this is what I was thinking, right? Well, cool. We got the photos. We'll just add in our field logged in. Does anybody see any problems with this? Is this variable unique to each user, or is it unique to the entire server? Right? So it's like Eunice logs out, everybody just got logged out. And as Shin logs in, everybody just got logged in. Everybody connected to the server just got logged in, right? Is it a global variable?
So,
Like when one person's using it, it looks like, cool, this works, right? I'm logged in, I'm logged in, I'm logged out, I'm logged out. It's all triggering. I pass this in. I create state, which is, a variable of type model, which has those fields. And then I just pass in state everywhere, right? And so like, hey, render my template, pass in state. Render my template, pass in state. Cool, cool, cool. Right, and I could check that and toggle if so it's like here's my template where I'm checking that where it's like if logged in, show the log out, right? And otherwise I don't know where login is on that, but right. So that's the question. And then I was like chatting with Daniel. He's like, yeah, man, that's global. I was like, well, how do I do it? What are your thoughts? How would you solve it?
I don't actually think that would be a problem.
No?
the type is allowed to be global. It's something that's abusive.
Well,
So
'cause you're
line
only-
17.
You're passing it to the template when you're going to send, the
So-
template back in the response, right? So each person that's accessing the server, they get their own, run through of that function, wouldn't they?
He's using state as a global variable, line 17, and that's being shared between all function
okay, so I was
calls.
thinking you can use the logged in part in the model struct, and then you
Get rid of
set
that.
based off of their cookie.
So yeah, that
So
line
you
right
check
there.
their cookie. If they're logged in, set it's true. If they're not, set it's false, and then send that through to the template and send the response back with that.
So this is where I hit a little bit of a wall with my lack of computer science background. So global, right? That's obviously global scope. All functions have access to that variable, right? But here, when let's say here we're running, I don't know, let's stick with home, right? Because that's totally short. And sorry, my wife's calling. I'm like, why would my wife call during class? Is everything okay? That's like where your head goes when you have kids. Yeah, wow, my head really goes there. It's like, dude, why would she call during class? She knows I'm in class. Maybe she's just leaving me a message, hey, go get the grapes at Costco. That's what it must be. So when total like, train of thought crashed. My thought train just totally crashed. When this runs, right, it's only running for each user. Like if we have 1 million users connected at the same time, or more importantly, like 1 million users connected at the same time, and this is running at the same time within the same 100 nanoseconds they all ask for uploading, right? And that's each one is going to be unique to them. There won't be a race condition that, I guess because each one is calling that and then the server runs it for each one. Is that right?
Yeah.
And so it's each time that's unique for them.
Yes.
So the
So
solution...
the local variables like source and header there and such will be They will be have separate copies for each time it's called. The function's called. So for each user, the local variable is the same.
Okay.
So the problem comes from that global state variable.
Okay,
Because
okay.
that's
So would you
not
have
being
it,
shared.
would you have it
because
be
that is
just
being shared.
the model struct has photos, and then when you're going to pass your data to the template, you just create a nameless structure that has, you know, the photos and then whatever boolean you pull from their cookie, so you don't actually have a logged in part in the struct?
Yeah, you can keep the logged in part in the struct too, even if you want. You just have to make sure that you generate that struct individually in each function call, as opposed to having it just be sitting there globally.
Because this is just a type, right? So we're just creating a type, int, string, bool, model, right? We created our own type, and so every time we create a variable, it's of that type. So that wouldn't be shared between the million users.
So yeah, the type is fine. It's the line 17 there. That's a global
All right.
variable.
So let's.
It's fine if said global variable is read only, like the templates thing. That's read only. It's only going to be the only time it's written into is an init, which is only going to be executed once at the very beginning before anything else is trying to connect. So it doesn't matter if it's got a million things accessing at once. It's read only, but the state is being written to with logged in, so it needs to make sure that it's per instance or per connection.
Yeah. So all right. So we got to get rid of this one, right? Can't have that global. That has to be on every function. And we bring that down here because, like, okay, well now I actually need a copy of that variable, right? Because here I need to store my file path information in there, right? So I create a copy of the variable. I get all that. But for this to work, it kind of relied on state being at the global level, right? Like this wants global level, this does not. Does that make sense?
So problem there, before you had a function that was just get fixture paths.
Yeah.
You could just have that and then just call it
Every time.
Yeah.
But from performance, now we're like, let's go walk the directory pictures. Oh, let's go walk the directory pictures. Oh, let's go walk the directory pictures.
So
and we have a million people, you know, it's like walk, 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 walk. And it's like, well, that's not good program design.
So that would be a brilliant case of where you would use memcache from App Engine.
Why don't you explain that a little? Because I was listening to the videos on that last night.
Yeah. So memcache on App Engine is basically like a big map, global map that's shared between all the various servers and instances. It's all in memory, so it's as fast as a map in your App Engine. And it's also designed for the multiple things accessing it at once. So you don't have to worry about race conditions or anything. It'll manage itself appropriately for that. So in this case, you can walk the file path every time to get the list of files. Memcache, but that's slow. Or you could just do it the once and store the list of files in memcache. And whenever you need to find the list of files, you just ask memcache, hey, give me the latest list. And then you've already got it. And then if you ever need to change it, memcache is good at will prevent a race condition from corrupting data, so you can just write to the memcache and it'll work.
So here's what I started. So memcache, one solution. Definitely sounds like a great one.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll learn about memcache maybe Thursday, because that's like the first half of day 10. What other solution could you do with what we've learned about so far? Cookies. How would you use cookies to fix this? Just don't speak about it in syntax, just general like pseudocode, right? Like you'd use cookies like this to fix it. You don't even need pseudocode, just like theory or whatever.
I mean, even with the memcache, would you still need cookies to know if you're logged in or not?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, but without any memcache, how do I fix this problem with just cookies?
So yeah, the photos part is the problem.
Yeah,
so,
right.
I mean, you can walk every time, but that's slow.
So I just want to.
Not to mention the OS might complain if you got too many things trying to access the file system at once.
Couldn't you leave state as global, take out the logged in part of it, and instead of having model be a struct with photos in it, why not just type model, and then or you can do type photos and then a slice of strings, right? So you're naming a slice of strings as photos. So instead, state would be photos, and then when you're gonna create or when you're gonna inject the information into your template, in that same function, you look at the cookie. If they're logged in, set this bool to true. If it's not logged in, set it to false. And then when you're going to pass the data to the template, you create a nameless struct that has photos and that boolean.
Yeah.
And then in your template, you can just access the the boolean for the top part where if it is logged in, have log out displayed. If it's not, have login displayed instead, and then you'd still be able to access photos without photos.
Yeah, so just basically have a slice of string somewhere at a global level that's storing all of the paths to your pictures. And then when I'm ready, because with a template I could only pass in
A single thing.
a single deal,
Don't save
right?
Don't save the bool on a global level.
Yeah, so don't save the bool on a global level. And then just right here, check the cookie and find out logged in or not logged in, and basically pass in an anonymous struct that has that slice of strings, which is all my photos, and the bool. So create an anonymous struct right down here. To create an anonymous struct, just out of curiosity, right? Or yeah, how would I do that? So pass in, what I do right here to create that.
So it'd be struct. You just the word struct, curly braces.
And then like this, right?
And then double curly
So
braces.
this first part would be photos
Boom.
and slice of string, and the next part would be logged in, and that would be a bool. And then right here I would do photos, and that would be equal to whatever was up here, right? So I'd have up here I could just do a global var photo, my photo, horrible naming, my poo. There we go, that's better. Slice of string. And I meant that like as in Pooh Bear, not as in poo poo. Whatever, I'm blowing up all that code right there. And so photos would be poo. Oh, sorry, my poo. This is awesome. And then logged in would be whatever I looked up from cookie. And then one more comma right there. And then I'd pass in right here, right? Is that right? Did I do that right?
Yeah.
You'd actually put that whole thing right. Oh, you're saying you just pass in. Okay.
Yeah, or I could just do it like this, right?
You just throw that in.
And that kind of stuff looks just a little bit more confusing to me. But
Can we have the go routine for each login user?
have a go routine for each logged in user.
Yeah, so that can be like every user when logs in creates a multi-thread and runs a pattern and fetch over when they're logged up.
We're still trying to just get the Starship Enterprise to go. We're not trying to go warp speed yet. You're a little too far ahead of me there, Scotty.
Yeah.
The server automatically does go routines for each connection.
Every connection's
Yeah.
got its separate go routine,
Yeah.
but there's no way for us to really going between web pages. That's a separate connection, so you can't really share data between them besides your cookies. So this path is actually perhaps the most optimal, with the exception of the global photos list. It does have a race condition for when more than one person's uploading at a time.
Poo! That's why I called it poo. My poo. I think I should change this variable to everyone's poo race condition. Sometimes. This is not idiomatic. Here, I'll make it even less idiomatic. It just breaks at that point. It's like, I'm not letting you name it that.
So to fix the race condition would be probably to have a separate Go routine that's just for reading and writing to the array. So when you upload a new file, you just have a channel to the manager Go routine, and you'd pass the file into that, and it would update the list. And then whenever you need the list, you sit there and wait at the channel for it from the manager Go routine. Just have the manager Go routine use the select, so it can be listening and writing at the same time. That way you only have the one Go routine writing, so you don't have to worry about the race conditions to the global list, because only the one Go routine will be accessing it, and the other Go routines will just sync with that one. It's a bit complex, but that would let you have your global thing without having to worry about the race conditions or anything.
So this is sort of what I was working on last night to try to get it to go. I have I reordered this last bit, where it's just like starting from looking at how do we do cookies, set cookie, getting rid of favicon, having a session with cookies, log in, log out with cookies, then doing sessions with Gorilla, and then Gorilla log in, log out, and then JSON, and then sessions with Gorilla JSON and file pass, and then Gorilla photoblog. And so all of that sort of builds up to this last one. So I figure, we could step back and look at any of these at any point just to see, I was like, okay, hey, how do I kind of make that JSON? I was thinking in my cookie, the cookie for every user, I could store whether whether logged in or not logged in. I could also just store a string which has all their photos, right? The photo paths. And so I was just looking here of taking a string, raw string literal, some JSON data, and unmarshalling it and marshalling it, and so just checking to make sure that that worked. So let's look at that, and maybe we could get this running and see if this is the best solution or if it's better just to do that struct. Because this actually seems a little bit more complex. I like the struct. The marshalling thing sort of adds another layer of complexity. And quite frankly, I even have the question of do I need to marshal and unmarshal this when I'm sticking it into a cookie? Like if I'm storing something in a cookie, it's just a slice of strings. Do I need to marshal that slice of strings? Because what's a slice of strings? Is it a slice of strings in and of itself a string? Can I take that and just write that as a string? No, a slice of strings is its own type, right? It's a data structure. So I can't write that data structure as a string to a cookie. So I have to take that data structure and turn it into a string. I mean, this was my thinking last night. And turn it into a string, and now I could write that string. So what string do I turn it into? I got two choices, right? At least that I'm aware of. One is to do it into JSON and do the entire marshal and unmarshal, or the other one is to use something called gob, which I just was reading about a little bit last night. But some people say gob doesn't exist, so I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to use that one or not. They said it requires a lot of faith. So I was like, I don't know about that. I think I'll just stick with JSON. So I think probably the better solution was the one we were just working on with that struct stuff. What do you guys think? Which would you choose? How many people would choose the way we were just doing it, right, with the struct? How many people would choose, let me put it all into the, you would choose that one? All right, then I throw my hat in with that.
So the problem is the cookies have got a limited size, so
Yeah.
eventually you'll run out of space in the cookie.
Where is it with this one then that we're storing our, I called it yes. Where is it we're storing our photos? Our photos are,
So
that's just a global thing for everyone, and we have that race condition, so that's just something we'd have to do. What you're talking about is make sure that when we'd use a
have
mutex. What would you use, a mutex for each person?
You could use the mutex, or you could just have another Go routine just kind of sitting there in a select. Whenever someone tries to read from a channel to it, it'll give them the list of them, and whenever someone tries to write to it, it'll be something new to put on the end of the list.
And then when they want to write, even if it's its own Go routine, right? You need to use some sort of locking, right?
So
or would you use a channel?
When they're writing, they just send it along the channel to the one manager Go routine. So that manager Go routine, so it's not actually global, it's just the one manager Go routine is the only one that can touch it. And it will manage one at a time for reading and writing. So I guess it would be similar. So a lock and unlock would work too.
All right, so Daniel and I are going to work this solution out offline and bring it back on Tuesday. Or do you guys want to see it? I don't know. I don't want to sit here and bang our heads against it. Just watch Daniel code for an hour or 15 minutes. Maybe more valuable would be to just step through this stuff again and take a quick review of that. Let's do that. I kind of want to see this one though, but I guess maybe stepping through. How many people want to review the cookies and these things here? I'm giving you guys too many choices, huh? All right, enough choices. Setting a cookie. All right, just a simple set a cookie. So any request that comes in goes to set a cookie. HTTP set a cookie. That's our response, and then we give it a pointer to a cookie, and then here's the name and the value. So when we run that, change directory 33, go run main, go to, it is at localhost 9000. What happened? Ooh, cool. Clear them. Request it again. Cookie monster. Cookie got set. Awesome. Get a cookie. So get cookie. Request cookie my cookie, and then print it. So that's going to come out to standard out. Control C. Control C. 4. Boom. Cookie monster. Why'd I get 2? Well, favicon, bye-bye. So if I open up this file, the reason I got 2, this is a good place to see it, is right here under network. I got both localhost request and a request for favicon. So, you know, it asked for that twice. And this first file, when it runs, right, anytime anything comes in, we're going to request the cookie and then print it, right? So 2 requests came in, so I had two things printed. So we could get rid of that by adding, hey, when something comes in at this path, right there, if somebody requests that, we're just going to respond with not found handler. And not found handler just says, you know, returns a simple request handler that replies to each request with a 404 page not found reply. Cancel, I don't know. I don't want to change the SDK. I'm not yet at that level. And so create a session where, you know, handle func, set cookie, listen serve 9000, and so request the cookie, get the session ID. If there's an error, there's no cookie, right? Error's not nil, there's an error. So we're going to create a cookie. So get that unique ID, and then create the cookie. Cookie's a pointer to a cookie, name value, right? Could I also just add one more? Only name value, is that all I get? Could I add one more? What do you think? I don't think you can you? But that's a question I have. One more?
No, because cookie is a struct. It's over in the HTTP package.
So, yeah, it doesn't like that.
So
we can look at what a cookie is. It's a struct that takes a name value. Optional. Can we add path? Domain? We could add that stuff, right? Expires.
Well, it may be used.
Yeah. It's time for me to come to class. And then set my cookie and then print the cookie. Let's just watch that.
Favicon, bye-bye.
Whoops. That doesn't look right. There we go. Yeah, we're looking for 9,000. Let's get rid of the cookies before we do this. So session ID, name, value, domain, path, right? Those are all specified very explicitly in that cookie struct. And you can see them right here, name, value, domain, path. So there's my cookie. So setting a cookie, log in and log out. So we saw this last week. Request cookie logged in. If there's no cookie, create a cookie, and the logged in value is 0. And if post is coming in and password, we have that from the form is secret, then logged in becomes 1. And if we're at / if the URL path is / log out, it's kind of an interesting way to handle it. That definitely should probably be pulled into its own endpoint. right? Then set logged in to 0, and then set our cookie, and then create a variable to hold a string. And which string is it going to be? Well, if it's not logged in, it'll be this string, which allows them to log in. And if it is logged in, it'll be this string, which shows them to log out. And then just write that. Logged in is 1. Log out. Takes me back to logged in and the cookie's gone. Saw that last week. And so now let's start doing that with Gorilla. So instead of using regular cookies, which don't implement the sort of did somebody change this authentication checking, we could do Gorilla, which has HMAC built into it. And that checks to see if the cookie was changed. And so this is how we use Gorilla. Sessions new cookie, and creates a store. How would you talk about that? Creates a cookie store.
Yeah, like
call the
I
same
think I
thing.
mentioned it before as being slightly misnamed. It's basically the encryptor decryptor more than it is the cookie store, because the cookies are still all on the client.
Mm-hmm.
So you use store.get and you pass it in the request, which lets it grab those cookies and
What would you call it?
decrypt them.
What would you call it?
So I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, it's an encryptor decryptor. So
Store.get request the session, gives us a session, and then we could do store.values email, request form email. So if we got email, we get email back, and then we save it, and then write back to the response, this HTML, and we pass in email. Let's watch that run. I want to play with that for a second. Control C, change directories. 38, go run main. 38. No cookies, and we're at localhost 9000. Your email. It's the best domain ever. All right, so interesting thing about this, can we add something new? Fave. I guess duplicate that line. Fave. Let's see if that works. Did I make any mistakes that you saw? Good. Clear. Refresh. Clear. Refresh. That's weird. I guess because it's resubmitting. I have no idea where I just went. Localhost 9000. Developer tools. Cookies. Clear all. Let's see if this does it. Cool. Enter your email. And something else. So with the sessions, we could store, it's kind of like a map, right? We could store as many key value pairs as we want. It's kind of interesting.
it's probably using something
Back to that.
similar to JSON underneath in order to do so.
I think that's all I changed. Yeah. And then here's the Gorilla login and log out. Don't need font apparently. So check login. Logged in is true. If log out, then logged in's false. And save it. If session values logged in equals false, then give them a login. And otherwise, show them log out. And I'm not sure if I need something else there. Seems like maybe I might. And I don't know, let's run it. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Beep. Bump, 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 bump. How am I logged in?
I believe it's defaulted U2.
It's what?
I think it defaulted U2 in your code. No, it defaulted it to a 0 value in the session get, and your if statement fails the condition.
It's right here. That's what I was thinking I might need. That.
That should be.
We got a cookie. I don't know why I'm restarting the page. I have like voodoo superstition. All right, what's happening? We got 2 minutes.
Blue equals nil.
No, maybe. Let's try that. That's not what I want. There we go. Sweet. Up. Secret. Submit. Log out. Secret. Cool. So sessions with Gorilla. Log in, log out. Cookie. And then, yeah, that's about it. But I'll work on this photo blog and bring back the solution. And then on Thursday we'll do more App Engine. Memcache, and then maybe data storage. All right. Thanks, guys. It's fun. I enjoyed troubleshooting that with you. How many people found that to be like a good think through, like thinking about how it works? All right. You guys getting value? How many people are getting value? If you need something else, let me know. Trying to keeping it moving. We'll see you Thursday.